Mic check 1, 2. I do believe the audio is okay. Unplug something here. Hello and welcome. From whichever side of the world you're watching me from, I want to welcome you to today's session. I'm your host, The King, and today we are going to be like trading Canada C.P.I together. First and foremost, before you go even into the charts, it's always advisable that you start with the economic calendar. Now, at exactly 3:30 p.m. today, we are going to have Canada C.P.I. This is UTC plus 3. I'm in East Africa currently at the moment, and you have to ensure that the local time corresponds to the time that you see on Forex Factory. Now, if I can just go over what we are anticipating today, it's CPI. CPI is Consumer Price Index, okay? Now, this is the broadest measure of inflation, and it's very crucial for us traders to be looking at these fundamental releases because it gives us insights to what will happen in the near future, specifically with the central bank system. If you look at today is Tuesday, April 15th, tomorrow will be 16th of April, and we do anticipate Bank of Canada having their interest rates tomorrow at exactly 4:45 p.m. Now, for them to come up with these numbers, usually they look at a few data. One of the most important data that they do usually look at, and they have a very heavy weight to it, is usually inflation. Now, when you look at Canada, it's bordering United States of America. Now, if you're looking at this, there's quite a bit of news releases we do anticipate. We do have the CPI, month-over-month release, we do have the median CPI, and we do have the trimmed CPI. Now, if I can just talk about this for a few minutes because we have less than 14 minutes to the news release. Usually, when you look at last week, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, we did have CPI, it was Thursday. So Thursday of last week, which was April 10th, we did have CPI for the United States dollar. Now, for the US, they do have a different weight system that they usually use, whereby they do have the core CPI and the CPI itself. Now, the difference between the two, the core is going to exclude food and energy, and the CPI itself is going to include food and energy. Now, for the Canadian dollar, usually what they do have is the median CPI and the trimmed CPI. Now, what this does is it tends to give a more accurate reading because CPI is very volatile in terms of I like using the analogy. Canada is heavily dependent on energy in terms of oil, in terms of electricity, and so on and so forth. So if there is a spike in electricity, let's say for example one of the production facilities that usually gives electricity to the national grid, if something happens to it, then it will tend to distort the underlying value that you're looking at. So when you're looking at Canada, there's what we call the median CPI, and then we have the trimmed CPI. Now, the median CPI is going to look at the 50th percentile. Now, what this means is what the data is trying to do is isolate the spikes that could distort the underlying data to give a much more accurate reading in terms of longer term perspective. So we do have the median. The median is going to look at the 50th percentile, and then the trimmed CPI is going to omit, as the word suggests, it's going to trim the extreme highs and the extreme lows to come up with an accurate reading of what we are seeing in the financial markets. Let me just have my phone on DND. So this is the point whereby if you are trading the financial markets, look at a place whereby there's going to be less noises, less distractions, because you need to be locked in, you need to key in into the scene as much as possible. Now, looking at CPI, we are anticipating the CPI month-on-month release to come out lower. Previous data was 1.1%. Now, remember, this is April, okay? So this is going to be last month data. So this is data as of March. Yes, it's lagging, but it's very crucial for us to look at this information because it shows us what we do anticipate in the near future. Now, looking at this, yes, we do anticipate inflation coming down month on the month release. On the year on year release, we do anticipate it for the median to come out as per forecast, as per the previous number, and we do anticipate a slight value on the trend CPI. Now, no one knows what's going to happen next. This information is not made available to the public up until that time that it's supposed to be released. So if you do access this information, it's insider trading, and that is a criminal offense. So that no one absolutely knows what this data is going to come out with. Yes, you can trade this data even if you don't know what's going to happen next with an element of probability to it, and I'm going to show you how you can go about it. But looking at CPI data, we do anticipate, if we look at the previous data that has been coming out ever since this is October last year. Now for the month on month release usually has volatility spikes to it because one day, as I've mentioned, Canada is heavily dependent on energy. So we don't look at the month-on-month release. Ideally, you want to focus on the year-on-year release. This gives a much better, clearer view of what the economy is doing. Now, if you look at this, we were back at 5% inflation rate back in February 2023, and the data did come back down to lows of around 2.3%. Now, this is very important. Why is this important? Because if you look at this information, let me close this data. Consumer prices account for a majority of overall inflation. Inflation is very important to currency valuation because rising prices lead the central bank to raise rates out of respect for the inflation containment mandate. Now, when you look at consumers, this is going to look at consumer price index. Basically, how are people in a certain economy purchasing goods and services? Now, if people are purchasing a lot of things, it means that they are not investing. Okay. So if this data comes out actually higher, the central bank will be forced to raise the central bank rates to discourage people from buying things and invest in government treasuries and bonds, because higher interest rates encourages spending. Higher interest rates discourage spending, lower interest rates encourage spending. Basically, if people are buying a lot of vehicles in a particular economy, that money could have gone into investment, but people are buying things for themselves. Now, the government does not want that because if you go to a bank, you take out a loan to buy liabilities, it means that you have to pay it. Now, when you look at Canada, when you look at United States, it's a country that is heavily dependent on debt. Now, if more people are taking out loans to buy liabilities, it means that the economy in the near future is going to have trouble recovering that money. So when this data actually comes out higher, the central banks will be forced to raise interest rates. Now, in the next 7 minutes, 42 seconds, we want to see this data coming out slightly lower so that tomorrow we might see, because everything now fundamentals, let me explain these in a deeper manner. Fundamentals is where price is and where price should be. Okay, it tells you, okay, we are at a certain region here. If fundamentals come out positive or negative, it tells you that in the near future we anticipate buying or selling. It doesn't tell you how it's going to go there, but it will tell you, okay, where we need to be in the near future. Now, when I'm looking at tomorrow I'm going to have the longest stream that I've ever had. Tomorrow is going to be the 6 hours that you have been seeing me post around the social medias, because we are going to start with retail sales at 3:30. We are going to trade through Bank of Canada rate statement. We are going to trade through the press conference, and then finally we are going to conclude at the Fed Chair Powell speech at 8:30. Now, this is very crucial because the data that is supposed to come out today will impact what the speech is going to be. You can see tomorrow the Bank of Canada are going to come together and look at where interest rates is going to be. Currently at the moment is at 2.75%. So this data that will come out in the near future in the next few minutes is going to be very crucial for us. But I want to pay more attention to the median and the trend CPI look at what this data is going to come out to. Now, if I can go to the charts, because let me separate these two charts. Welcome for those. Not yet. What is not yet? Makali. What is not yet? So going over to the charts, I like to have this one here. Then this on this side. So I'm going to just do this at the moment. Let me look for USD Canadian dollar first. Now, right now, the markets are more sentimental compared to technicals and fundamentals. So we will want to be very careful with what's happening with the financial markets. So how do I trade news? Usually, I have buy limits and sell limits. So I'm going to have sell limits around that region, and I'm going to have sell limits just buy limits around 1.38497 and sell limits at 1.39088. This is how I usually trade news. So it's a very good strategy because most of the times you anticipate a week, a ride of liquidity. As you can see, we do have lows that was formed around 7 a.m., another low that was formed around 11 a.m., and this most recent low at 1 p.m. UTC plus 3. So all that anticipate if prices comes back to these regions of liquidity, we might see it push to the upper side. But at the same time, if prices comes to this region of liquidity that was formed at 2 a.m. Asian session today, I'll anticipate, okay, I need to have a sell opportunity around that region, a short position just around that region, anticipating the prices, there's a possibility it's going to take out the lows. Now, I'll be favoring more selling opportunities because right now, all assets against the dollar are considered safe havens because of the tariffs, because of the trade wars that are happening currently at the moment. I would anticipate that there's a high likelihood that the United States dollar is still in limbo. So people are going to favor having their money onto safer havens. So I'm going to screen record it on my device also. I usually analyze using my desktop and then execute using my phone. Now, I don't like having my MetaTrader on my desktop because sometimes I've seen that it does open me up to criticism because instead of looking at the information that I have, someone will be very focused on to how much money I do push in the financial markets, of which that's a wrong analogy. The most important thing that I would want you to pick up from my streams is the information that is going to be made available to you. How is what I'm talking right now going to impact your lives in the near future? I would want to see you execute in the near future. You can execute news to a level, to a degree of certainty in the markets, but you have to be very careful. You have to follow the right momentum. Now, for me personally, there is a very specific account for news trading. Okay, you cannot have one account. So I'm going to have a sell limit at 1.39086. Let me increase the lot size hapa kidogo. I like the way prices are printing currently. Okay, and then I'm going to have a buy limit just below those lows. So buy limit is going to be at 1.38489. So let's wait and see. Are there any questions currently at the moment? I don't believe so. So let's see. So this is whereby if you are a faithful person, whatever you believe works for you, um, this is the time. This is the time. This is the time to call on to a higher power because it reaches a point in the financial markets, and I've faced this severally. It reaches a point whereby you do what needs to be done. Technically, you do everything that needs to be done, but it reaches a point whereby you have no power at all than to let it play out. So this is where faith becomes a really good thing whereby you believe your strategy is good, you believe your risk management is on point, you believe in everything, and you let it play out. That's very crucial. It is very crucial. So currently at the moment it's 3:29. We have less than 1 minute to go. UTC plus 3. Remember, I'm in East Africa, and only one way to find out. Only one way to find out. From my entry price, this is going to be how many pips? This is less than 20 pips to my entry price, and I want to see how prices are going to react. But I want to look at, if I'm looking at the weekly perspective, I really like how this candlestick is printing out, and I'm certain that could there be a probability that we might see another bearish candlestick before 3 days and 9 hours do elapse. So when I'm doing my analysis, and this is something you're going to notice on my charts most of the times, I do like the 1 hour time frame so much. For me, I do look at it as it's not that much of a higher time frame, it's not that much low of a time frame. Okay, so the position has been triggered. Okay, so the sell limit has been triggered. This position has been triggered, it's already in profit. So if you want a screen recording of this position running, but this one is active, so the sell limit around this region has been triggered. So what I'm going to do, let me delete this one here first. So this is the position that's currently running at 1.39086. Yeah, somewhere around that region. I don't have a stop loss on this trade, but I'm going to have a mental stop loss, something about 30 pips. 30 pips is doable. Yeah, so this is a good way to be trading news releases using buy limits and sell limits. So what has the data come out? Okay, so the data has come out negative, which is good, huh? Which is good. Trust me, this is good because whatever is supposed to happen tomorrow now, there's a high probability the central banks are going to considering lowering their rates. So let's look at the data. Wow, so it's come out actually much lower than anticipated. We were anticipating a 0.7, it's actually come out at a 0.3, which is okay. Here it's negative, huh? But in the eyes of the central bank, this is good because this shows that people are not purchasing goods so much as anticipated. Now, remember, if people are not purchasing liabilities, it means that money will go towards investments. Now, if money goes towards investments, an economy will do generally great. Okay. Now, looking at trimmed C.P.I. came out at 2.8%, which is good. Now, I would anticipate that prices of the Canadian dollar to continue being stronger for the meantime. Currently, it's just playing around my entry zone, and I have to rush somewhere in the next 15 minutes. So I'll leave this position running. I'm going to have my stop loss at 1.39393. Oh, very interesting number. 1.39393. Okay, so risk management is calculated on this particular position. Worst case scenario, I'm not going to lose a lot of money. I've calculated risk management. Let's see how it's going to be. But I was going to see before the weekends, could there be a possibility that we might take out the lows that was formed on Monday? These lows here on Monday. So this is a risk to reward ratio of 1 is to 2.5, almost 1 is to 2.5, which is good. Let's see how this is going to play out. Looking at the H4 time frame, I want to look at the 4-hour time frame. I like how the 4-hour time frame is forming. So if we do get this candlestick closing over below this region, if this 4-hour candlestick closes below this region, then this will give me further confidence that prices will continue pushing to the downside. Yes, this is a 3 candlestick chart pattern. Now the markets could have just gone to grab liquidity around this region here. I'll keep you posted on this trade as time goes by. Let's just wait and see. Should we wait for the 1 hour candlestick to close? So this is the 30 minute that has started. So the 30-minute candlestick has just started. I like the way it is printing currently at the moment. I like this price action. I do like this price action. I do like this price action. Yes, yes. So I'll hold this trade. I have my stop loss in place. I have my take profit in place. Whatever happens, let me delete the buy limit that I had. Okay. So once again, to just recap how to trade news releases. Buy limits and sell limits, very advisable to use buy limits and sell limits. So have sell limits above regions of liquidity, buy limits just below regions of liquidity. Currently I'm into profits, and this is very good. This is a really good execution for me to have today. I do believe this is my second trade of the week. If I can just show you what I've been up to. We had this position on gold yesterday. Now, I do use a martingale strategy. For me, a stop loss, especially when I'm confident in a setup, I use martingale. It's a very risky strategy, but it's a good strategy if you know what you're doing. So I'm still in this position on gold. We did analyze dollar index. Dollar index currently at the moment is in this wedge right now. Currently, that's playing out. We want to see a clear breakout either to the upper side or to the lower side. But this is very interesting to note because the dollar index is it's a measure of fear. It's a basket of 6 currencies against the United States dollar, meaning it's going to look at what other countries are performing in relation to the USD. We had seen a lot of fear in the markets last week, but currently at the moment we are forming this wedge, and this is very interesting to know because this shows us that okay, the markets are preparing to do something. What we don't know, but it's gearing to do something in the near future, and we want to see if we do get a clear breakout to the upper side. It means that the United States dollar is going to be stronger in the long run. If we do get a clearer breakout to the downside, it means that fear is still in the markets and uncertainty is still a crucial key. When you look at the volatility index currently has calmed down from what we saw, the spike we saw last week at nearly 60, which was very, very high. This was the high that was created back when Middle East had tensions in the world. The last time we were there, yeah, it was during the Middle East tensions back on August 2024. Now the index has calmed down, which is very good. Meaning investors, we want to see how investors are going to react, especially if you look at the United States 500. Currently, I am in positions on US 500 on the daily time frame, whereby we have been seeing that the index has been gaining prices. Currently, I'm at break even, but I want to see these index taking out these highs in the next few trading days. Nasdaq, the same thing happening. We did get stopped out of Nasdaq as a result, but US 30, we are still in this particular trade. Now the Russell has picked up of late, and I want to see how this week is going to be very crucial. How this weekly candlesticks, the trading week of this particular week that you're looking at, if it does close bullish for the dollar, then this means that there could be confidence coming back into the financial markets. When I'm looking at treasuries have started picking up from lows that was created at 84 currently. This is pre-New York. New York is about to open for the treasuries in the next few minutes, but currently we are at 87.5. Looking at oil is still in limbo, but we did close above the magical $60 a barrel that we were looking at for oil to be profitable to sell. Brent, Western Texas oil, same thing. Bitcoin is climbing. I was going to see how prices react to this region of liquidity around $86,000 a Bitcoin. We do have relatively equal highs at this moment, and this is very interesting for me to note, whereby I do like this so much. The same thing we have seen on USD Canadian dollar. Where are you, darling? So currently we are in a bit of profits, not much. not much, but currently let's see, wait and see. So euro dollar today, nothing happening. Yesterday, nothing is happening because I do believe we are anticipating some news for euro tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or is it Thursday? Yeah, so it's Thursday, whereby we do anticipate the euro to lower the interest rates from 265 basis points to 240 basis points, which is very interesting to note in the near future what is going to happen with that asset. But going back to technical analysis, GBPSD has been climbing, especially with the positive data that we had seen today earlier in the morning, whereby climate count change did come out actually lower than expected. Climate count change is these. Now, this is how many people lost their jobs. Now, if this data comes out actually lower, it's good for currency because the lesser people lose jobs, it means that the more people are going to have salaries, money is going to be in circulation. Now, I'm not going to look at any other asset today. Today is going to be majorly on the USD Canadian dollar, and I want to see how this position is going to play out in the near future. But at the moment, Vindu Vulai, this is a very good strategy. I wish someone had shown me this while I started trading a few years back. So I've been thinking before I head out, I would want to advance this stop loss just to above this high to reduce the risk that I'm currently in this position. But at the moment, we are in a bit of profit, not much, but it can buy supper for a few days. So that's going to be it for me. Tomorrow is going to be one of the biggest streams that I'm ever going to host. Hello, which pair are we trading, please? We had been trading USD Canadian dollar, and this was the analysis. This is the particular execution that we were looking at. We were looking at selling opportunities at 1.39088. Currently, we are in this trade. So actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a screenshot of this position so that it's journaling. I like journaling so much. I do like journaling so much because it shows me what I need to do. If you look at my downloads, most of my downloads, I like trading gold mostly. So if you look at this, I take a lot of screenshots of my trading so that it gives me an opportunity to see what I've been doing, what needs to, let's say for example, this is a good thing about backtesting. Okay, I was not supposed to talk about this, but this was yesterday, I do believe so. No, it wasn't this one. Was it this one? Okay, so this was yesterday's execution. This trade that you're seeing here, this trade here at the moment. So it was this trade. Where is my pictures? No, this is USD card. Yeah, so this was the execution I did take on gold yesterday, and if you look at the downloads, what happened afterwards. So this was afterwards. Yeah. So the moment you take a screenshot when you enter, the moment you take a screenshot during the trade, whenever you take a screenshot after, what you're trying to do is build these mental images, okay? Because the forex market is all about patterns. And what you're trying to do is build these patterns onto your head. Whenever you see, and if I can take you to, okay, that's quite a lot of data to be going through. But let me just show you. I don't have that disk here. I don't have that. But you'll text me. Ama, in tomorrow's session, it's going to be very long. We are going to go through the data. I don't believe it's here. It's here. So the data, I have a lot of screenshots that I've been taking for the past like 5 years. And what I tend to do, whenever you take screenshots, whenever you have these screenshots that you're taking, you're trying to build mental images whereby you're going to, I've seen this happen severally. And the moment you do that, it reaches a point whereby trading becomes much easier because you have already built those mental images. When you see a pattern happening, because the market usually makes patterns, it doesn't break them, okay? So whenever you see those patterns as a result of building those mental images, you'll be like, oh, I've seen this happen severally. Like you see on USD Canadian dollar, currently at the moment we are in some bit of profit. and minimal drawdown. This is what I usually like trading so much because I've seen this happen severally. Yeah, it's not by mistake I did decide to have my sell limits and buy limits where I did have them, because I'm used to the markets printing a certain pattern to a point whereby I'm like, okay, I've seen this happen severally, and it's very important for us to be journaling. So that's going to be it for me. Take care of yourself. Have a blessed afternoon.